If Donald Trump becomes the 47th president, he is going to tear apart our government. He's going to tear apart families. He is not going to be looking out for all of the American citizens. And I think a lot of people know that, but they don't know the exact particulars. This video that I'm reacting to doesn't have every single thing that he is going to implement, but it has a lot and it's terrifying. So let's watch it together. I'll react to it and share some more thoughts, even about how we can get this in front of more people and hopefully affect change and make sure Donald Trump does not get into the Oval Office. Hey, I'm Kathy Ellen. I'm a writer, I'm a reader, I'm a mama, I'm a Ninja Warrior athlete, and I don't want Donald Trump to be elected president again. I didn't want him to be elected president for the first time. If that makes you upset, that's okay. I'm probably just not the YouTuber for you, so you can just go on to a different channel. Let's take a look at this video from the Lincoln Project that really, like I said, lays out what he is going to do, and it's not good.
November 5th, 2024. Donald Trump defeats a divided and dispirited Democratic campaign. On January 20th, 2025, Donald Trump is sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. Unfortunately, he keeps his promises. Trump seizes control of a divided government, signing hundreds of executive orders implementing Project 2025.
He wants you to believe that he doesn't know anything about Project 2025, even though people who have worked with his campaign, and I think still are currently working with his campaign, are part of Project 2025. And it's a who's who of all of the horrible conservative groups that are harming Americans, that are behind all of this. They're writing it because they saw what happened last time with Donald Trump, that there were people in the federal government who stood up for what was right, and they stopped him. They don't want anyone to stop him now. Also, how many executive orders does a president usually do? I don't think it's hundreds on the first day, but he will do that because he wants total and absolute power, and he wants to be able to do whatever he wants. He will take advantage, even more advantage than he did the first time that he was president.
Trump replaces over 50,000 civil servants with hardline MAGA loyalists. The federal oath of office now requires declaring loyalty to the president, not the Constitution.
Was someone just dressed as a wall? Someone was just dressed as a wall at a Trump rally. That is so weird. Those civil servants, they are in place because they know how the government works. They can keep it running when the power transitions. They have all of this experience and knowledge, and he's just gonna wipe all of that out to put in MAGA extremists who agree with him. Because again, last time there were people in those positions who decided that they were going to stand up to him. Not soon enough, but enough of them did eventually that some things that he wanted to get done could not get pushed through. So he learned his lesson. And this is going to harm our country. We're going to put people in there who have no idea what they're doing, and the only reason they're there is because they love Donald Trump? Come on.
Protected by the Supreme Court's grant of total immunity for official acts, Donald Trump orders the Department of Justice to arrest members of the January 6th Commission, current and former DOJ employees, and political opponents for treason, election interference, and conspiracy. He declares it to be an official act.
This is what the conservatives are trying to say that the Democrats are doing right now because Trump is a convicted felon. He broke the law and he is reaping the consequences from that. A jury decided it was not Democrats who rigged this on him. But he's trying to spread this rhetoric right now so he can say, oh yeah, and then I can get revenge. It is not okay for someone to be running for office simply so they can get revenge on people that held them accountable in the past. And that's literally what he's doing. He's not trying to make America better for anyone except himself. Even if you like Trump, how can you agree that this is okay? That he can just go after whoever he wants, and because he's president, it's okay? Do you see any other president doing that? No.
Trump ends birthright citizenship by executive order and turns millions of American-born citizens into illegal aliens overnight.
That is so horrible. I just want you to imagine that you were born in the United States, because if you're watching this, you probably were. And then someone comes along and says, oh, no, actually, you need to go live in this other country that you've never lived in your entire life because one or both of your parents are here illegally. Can you imagine? He's literally going to tear families apart. And for what? And these kids that were born here, they're not illegal. Why is he so threatened by them? What does he think that's going to accomplish besides making the country more white, which I know a lot of his followers want?
Mass deportations begin. hundreds of thousands, including legal U.S. residents and American citizens, are imprisoned in newly built camps.
He's not going to care if people are citizens. I mean, look at all of those birthright citizens that he's going to revoke their status. He's going to do whatever he wants. If you seem immigrant enough, he's going to put you in one of those camps.
Protests erupt. Trump addresses the nation from the Oval Office, invoking the Insurrection Act and declaring the protesters a danger to American sovereignty. He orders the National Guard to use deadly force to suppress the protests.
Deadly force to suppress the protests. Whatever happened to freedom of speech? Because that's a huge part of his plan. He wants to make sure that we can't talk about misinformation or disinformation. He wants to make sure that social media companies cannot censor anything on their platform. So he wants all the hate to be out there. But whenever anyone disagrees with anything he's doing, all of a sudden, that's okay to be taken off. That's attacking American sovereignty. I have a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old who have been to protests. I want you to imagine a peaceful protest where deadly force is used against men, women, children who are there standing up for their First Amendment rights and protesting things that are not okay and that are harming the country. Deadly force. This man thinks that's okay. And to be clear, deadly force has been used before in our country's history, and it was horrible then, and it'll be horrible again. That's what he wants.
In the wake of the bloody violence, Trump declares nationwide martial law, awarding himself new powers under the freshly signed American Sovereignty Protection Order, which defines protest of immigration policies as non-protected speech and a threat to national security.
See, they're all about protected speech unless it's going against them, and then they're going to magically call that non-protected speech. They're such hypocrites. This is what he is going to do. So at any point, at any time, he could say, yeah, that's non-protected speech. That could be you talking about something that's really important to you, a life or death situation for you. And this man that potentially you voted for could just say, no, that's not protected anymore. We're going to put you in jail. We're going to use deadly force against you.
Governors in New York, California, Illinois, and elsewhere declare their opposition, promising to refuse compliance in their states. Trump orders their arrests.
Again, using his powers where he should not be using them. And this is a great example of, oh, not my state, not my problem. The president is everyone's problem, especially if he is going to tear away the rights of states while also sending the states all of those rights that he wants to, right? Another hypocritical statement like, oh, we don't need the Department of Education, let the states handle it. But if the states want to handle things like abortion, birth control, or letting their citizens practice their First Amendment rights, then he's going to swoop in and arrest the governors because they don't agree with him. Where in the Constitution does it say that that's okay? And I'll let you know at the end how you can help make sure that progressive candidates get elected in states that are your own and not your own.
Trump pardons every January 6th attacker, including those who assaulted the police, and in a White House ceremony issues a new presidential medal honoring them. Many are given jobs in his administration.
Trump also loves to say that he loves the police, yet he is going to pardon all of these people and give them a medal. On one hand, he's saying, no, I had nothing to do with any of these people. They just happened to come here because the election was rigged. But with this action, he's basically saying, those are my people and I'm going to save them and I'm going to give them what they're due. Friendly reminder that the people who are in jail from January 6th, they got tried by a jury of their peers and they went through our legal system, just like Trump did. They were found guilty, just like Trump was found guilty. They do not deserve to be pardoned because they participated in an insurrection. Can you imagine a president actually thinking and believing that?
The Department of Education is renamed the Department of American Values and mandates a nationwide Christian nationalist curriculum for all schools receiving federal aid.
Here's the thing. You want your kid to go to a Christian school? Go right ahead. Put them in a Christian school. I have no problem with that. I have a problem with forcing everyone in our country to go to a Christian school. You don't get to force that on other people. How is that public education? And by breaking apart the Department of Education, schools are going to lose federal dollars. We're going to lose oversight of what's happening in schools, and we're not going to be able to see what kind of education trends are happening. Most importantly, kids who have disabilities aren't going to be looked out for at all. It's going to be up to whatever state they live in to decide if they want to accommodate them or not. So we're going to have all of these states that have completely different models of education. It's going to matter where you went to school. And if you can't move out of a state that has horrible public education, how do you think your life's going to go?
Trump, joined by Speaker Mike Johnson and evangelical leaders, announces that the Department of Health and Human Services has reclassified mifepristone, making it illegal to distribute or prescribe, as well as new HHS regulations that make IVF treatments impossible to legally administer.
Okay, they want to stop the abortion drugs. We know that banning abortion does not lower the number of abortions. They want to not allow IVF to happen. Have some of these white women thought about this? Because a lot of white women support Trump, and a lot of white women use IVF to start their families. This is absolutely heartbreaking to people who want to start families, and if he is elected, they are going to lose that in an instant. Despicable.
Trump reverses one campaign promise by declaring a national abortion ban by executive order. Challenges to his authority are rejected by the Supreme Court, which has seen new appointments from Trump after it was expanded to 12 justices.
Of course he's going to add more justices to his Supreme Court, and they're going to do everything that he says. And of course he's going to pass an abortion ban. All this crap of we'll let the states decide. No, he's going to pass a nationwide abortion ban. And let me remind you that if you want the number of abortions to go down, which I also would like the number of abortions to go down, banning abortion is not the way to make it happen. Studies have shown that if you give people accurate sex education, free access to birth control and contraception, and they're trying to take birth control away, don't forget. If you have better policies in place regarding family leave, if you have universal health care, if you have programs like Head Start, which he'd like to cut, basically any program you have in place that helps a family and or helps educate people on how babies are made and how they can prevent that if they'd like while they're having sex, lowers the number of abortions that happen in this country. Do you see them backing any of those policies? No, that's how you know that it's not really about life. It's about controlling women and people who can get pregnant.
He signs an executive order removing abortion records from HIPAA privacy regulations and announces a new federal data sharing program so states can monitor women's periods.
This enrages me. HIPAA should apply to everything. No one but you and your doctor has the right to know if you had an abortion or not. And you know why they want that information? Because they want to jail people who got abortions. Some states want to give them the death penalty. Here's another thought. Many pregnancies end in a miscarriage, typically within the first trimester, but sometimes even later. What do you think is going to happen there when this shows up because pregnant people are being tracked? Do you think people are going to think, oh, that's a miscarriage, poor pregnant person? No, they're going to assume that it was an abortion. So that person who had a miscarriage, who likely wanted to carry this fetus and give birth to a baby, is now going to be worried that they are going to face prosecution because they had a miscarriage. And they probably won't even have medicine to help them along with it. I had a miscarriage. It was not very fun. We really wanted that fetus to grow and for me to give birth to that baby. We were heartbroken over that. I cannot imagine if I wasn't allowed to have care, or if I would have went in and tried to figure out what was going on and would have been afraid that I would have been prosecuted. Disgusting. And you don't get to know women's periods. That is horrific. What kind of a person do you think you are that you're allowed to know that? No one should know that.
Thousands are detained while crossing state lines under suspicion of seeking an abortion.
Okay, so think about this. You're pregnant. You want to go across state lines because maybe you're like me, you live in Northern Virginia, you're close to Maryland, you're close to West Virginia. You want to go visit some friends or some family or just go on a vacation. You want to do a baby moon, right? Well, you're on a registry now. Having this information about people who are pregnant is literally going to put them on house arrest in their state, especially if their state does nothing for abortion rights. People are not going to be able to travel outside their state when they're pregnant because they're going to think, regardless if it makes sense or not, regardless if you say to them, absolutely not, I'm not getting an abortion. We cannot wait to grow our family, and I'm so happy to be growing this fetus that eventually will be a baby. They don't care. They're looking at every pregnant person and thinking that they are traveling outside the state to get an abortion because that's what they assume. They want to control pregnant people, and it is disgusting.
Trump's acting Secretary of Defense, a disgraced ex-general, fires over 400 generals and admirals, leaving the military leaderless.
This is just like firing all those civil servants. People at the top, the generals in the military, they have been there for a long time. They have been there under many different presidents. They have lots of experience and knowledge that we're going to be losing because Trump can't stand if people aren't loyal to him. Again, is he making the country better for anyone else but him? He's not. And honestly, is that even making the country better for him? I don't think so.
Other Trump appointees purged the ranks of the CIA, FBI, and Department of Justice. By executive order, Trump withdraws the United States from NATO and ends Pentagon cooperation with Ukraine. Russian tanks enter Kyiv. Vladimir Zelensky is killed.
Where do you think Russia's going to stop if Trump just gives them a green pass and says, do whatever you want, if we leave NATO? This is some really wild stuff.
It is announced that Trump will run for a third term, claiming he was unfairly cheated in the 2020 election. His Supreme Court ultimately agrees with this interpretation, paving the way for Trump's 2028 re-election.
Of course he's going to stay in. He's absolutely not going to hold another free and fair election if he gets elected. I don't know how people don't understand this. He's not giving up that power once he gets in. He wasn't going to give it up the first time. You saw the insurrection. Come on.
If you hear all this and believe it isn't possible, then ask yourself, what did you believe was impossible just 8 years ago? This isn't a fantasy. It's Trump's plan, and he's counting on you to believe it couldn't happen.
Honestly, even people who support Trump, I don't think want all of these things to happen. I think they realize these things are bad for America, and I hope that they do after watching this video, because it's very clear. Now, what can we do if we want to affect change? Get involved locally. There's got to be a group around you that is supporting progressive candidates. If you're like, Kathy Ellen, no, that's not happening around me. Don't despair. You can write letters and postcards. You can call people. You can text bank for people in other states if you feel like all is lost here in my state. But you know what? It's probably not all is lost. I'm sure that you know people that want to elect progressive candidates. You can also be loud about what you believe in. You can share videos like these. You can have conversations with real people in your life and say, can you explain to me why you're supporting Trump? Why do you think it's okay for him to do these things? You can even get deeper into the weeds and say, if Donald Trump becomes president again, it's going to hurt me personally. It's going to hurt my family. It's going to hurt my friends. And I know you care about me, so I'm just trying to square that. Can we talk about it? You never know. Something good might come of it. Thanks for watching this with me. I know it was really hard to see and it was infuriating. I hope that it's inspiring you to take action and or even more action to get progressive candidates elected so we can keep our democracy and keep our country.